Hey there friends, Dave Paulides, Can-Am Missing Project copyrighted edition for our video channel. As we all know, we had two people missing from Tennessee. One in one in Nashville, and one about 20 miles outside of Nashville. And we're going to talk about one of those, a young boy, 15 years old, Sebastian Rogers. Went missing February 26th this year. He was described as a high-functioning autistic boy, 5'5", 120, wore glasses. Now, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, which is a great outfit, issued this Amber Alert for Sebastian. He was wearing a black sweatshirt, black pants. He left, now listen carefully, he left without shoes, no coat, no phone. And his parents said he never went anywhere without his phone. He was attached to it. And he lived with his biological mom and stepdad. His father's a deputy sheriff in Davidson County. Let's go backwards a little bit. So Sebastian disappeared in the middle of the night on February 26th. Riley Strain in Nashville disappeared 11 days later on March 8th at 9:50 p.m. So hold those thoughts. On February 25th, the night before his disappearance, Sebastian had a normal night. His mom said nothing was unusual. He said at 9 o'clock, she told him to take out the garbage, which he normally did. No big deal. After he took out the garbage, it was time for bed. He went to bed, no big deal. Mom said completely normal. Those are important indicators. Somebody who's highly autistic doesn't hide things well. They live out their issues in front of people. They don't internalize much that doesn't come outward. Well, on February 26th, early in the morning at 6 o'clock, she went in his room just like normal to wake him up. He wasn't in the bed. Searched the room, thought maybe he was playing hide and seek. No, wasn't playing hide and seek. Searched the house. Then she started getting nervous. Got in her car, drive around the neighborhood. Key points. This young man had never run away. He never left in the middle of the night. Mom calls family calls the sheriff. Sheriff comes out, and right away they call for a full search and rescue call out. Now, what's unusual about this, in my mind, is that his parents said he left with a flashlight. Well, you don't leave with a flashlight unless you're looking for something or you're going somewhere at night. There was recently home video surveillance footage at that night at 3:10 a.m. behind his house in a common area between homes. I have two different flashlights, probably two different people, at 3:10 a.m. Now, is it possible Riley saw them and went outside to investigate? I don't know. Well, on February 26th, the sheriff's office sent out helicopters, drones, ATV, UTV. And then on that day, through March 5th, they threw the kitchen sink at this. Bloodhounds, ground pounders. They called in dozens of agencies, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, dive teams, Tennessee National Guard, FBI. They wouldn't have called in Tennessee Bureau of Investigation unless they thought there was a crime. They wouldn't have called the FBI unless they thought there was a crime. They're not saying it right now, but I'll say it. I think it's a crime. March 7th, TBI made a statement. There's no proof there is a crime, and there's no proof there isn't a crime. Well, that's the biggest statement of the year that absolutely says nothing. That's just like covering your butt. Now, normal behavior at bedtime. Key point. When I heard he left the phone behind, and that the phone was attached to him always, it's almost as though he was told to leave the phone behind because that's a tracking mechanism. That's what I thought. No shoes. It was cold in Tennessee. Why leave without shoes and a coat? It's cold. When it's cold, it's painful to walk on your feet. It's dark, but he took a flashlight. I guess I'd want to know, has he ever taken a flashlight at night before in the middle of the night? I'd want to know if the flashlight was in his room, or did he have to go across the family house to get a flashlight? His parents said that he was a boy of routine. Why would you change that now? I also want to know if Riley had any issues at school. Had he been threatened, bullied? And the point I'm getting to with that, he was getting up, his mom was getting him up to go. Sometimes kids that are bullied do the worst of things to themselves. And bullying has led to many deaths. I'd want to know the frame of mind. I would definitely send a detective to school and talk to the teachers, people that are patrolling the grounds of the school during recess. I'd want to know all this. So this is where the family lived, on Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'll back this up a little bit. Down in here is the Cumberland River. 5 miles from here to the river. Not that far. Not that far. But where else does the Cumberland River go? Nashville. And who disappeared in Nashville in the Cumberland River? Riley Strain. 11 days apart between the two cases. I'm sure it's just a mere coincidence, right? Since all of you believe in coincidence. And a few other things. On Sebastian, autistic kids have a habit of hiding from people they don't know. So you have people in the woods looking for him, calling his name. Autistic kids have a habit of not responding to that. Staying under bushes, hiding, running away further. Which is why these are one of those weird cases where you want the parents with you in the field calling their name, letting them know it's all right to come out if they're out there. I don't know if they did it, but I'm just saying in my experience, that's what you have to do. Now, the woods in Tennessee can be really thick, wet, and in this area, it's very rural. And this is like a few streets in this little housing tract right here where they live, but you can see all the blue are bodies of water, creeks, rivers, streams, and that's on the north side of the main road here. On the south side, it doesn't seem as though there is much. Now, missing people don't usually cross roads because a road will indicate that you can find people. So this would be the area they'd be searching if he was missing. The police have been very quiet about this case. Normally they come out and they'll say right away, it just seems to be a straight missing persons case, blah, 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 there's a possibility there's crime, blah, blah, blah. No, on this one they're being very, very quiet. So my gut tells me you got to play it both ways. You got to play it as a missing person, and you got to play it as a crime. Now, within the last several days, parents have gone out and searched parks in the area. It was unexplained why they are searching these parks, which aren't right in that area, but they are. And they said that they tried to get CCTV footage from other homes in the area. If they did, they're not giving it up. But if somebody has a flashlight and they're walking your neighborhood at 3:10 in the morning, I'd want to eliminate homeowners, and it's not a big area, maybe 25 homes. I'd want to eliminate homeowners as the people that were out, maybe looking for a dog, taking their dog to the bathroom. If I was the detective on the case, I'd knock on every home in that area, seeing if they were out at 3:10 that night. If they were, that eliminates the flashlight scenario. If they weren't, I'd ask them if they have any CCTV footage in the front of their house or in the back of their house. I'd then pull every burglary report in that area in the previous 6 months. Every suspicious person report. Every arrest within 3 miles of that house. What does that do? It tells you the people that are hanging around that area. And then I'd run every name through a database to see if there's any sexual deviants that live close by. I know it seems like a lot of work, but you start an investigation and it's this wide, and you slowly narrow it down. And this happened February 26th. Rest assured, detectives are on it. I know the way they think. They're methodical. I think they'll find Sebastian. I don't know where they're going to find him. I have a hunch they're going to find him. He's a high-functioning autistic person. His parents described him as very smart. Again, he's tall and thin. That's what he looks like. He wears glasses. Keep him in your prayers. Next case. A little different. But another young man, this time 14 years old, just a year younger than Sebastian. This young man's name was Oliver Nash. Went missing August 3rd, 1940. All you people that live in Nevada, raise your hand. Pay attention. Especially if you're in Las Vegas, pay attention. Because you're going to know about a location I'm going to tell you about. Oliver had one brother that was a graduate of the University of Nevada and another brother that was playing football at University of Nevada at Reno. They lived in eastern Las Vegas. And Mrs. Nash was a widower of the former police chief of Las Vegas. Well, Oliver had planned a bike ride to a place called Frenchman's Mine, a few miles east of the city in the hills. The ruins still exist. And you can take a dirt road and get out there to them, and there's some big ruins out there. Nothing you can crawl into, but you can tell there was a mine there. Well, the mom made a sandwich for him and some waters to take. It was going to be a real hot day. Took off in the morning. Said he'd be back by late afternoon. He didn't come back. Mother calls the police. The police call the sheriff. They both respond, take a report, and they start to get into the particulars. Well, one of those particulars were, this is August 3rd, it was a hot day in Las Vegas, as is every summer day. But this one was brutally hot, according to the reports. So, Frenchman's Mine, elevation 2,041 feet. It was an old copper mine in Clark County, Nevada. It was active in 1917, and it's on a place called Gas Mountain. It was owned by the Southern Nevada Gold Mining Company, and they dug tunnels down into the ground, deep into the ground. And then there were tailings, piles of tailings out everywhere still. In the 1960s, experts searched the tailings, trying to see if the mine was viable, if they should go back in and go through the tailings again. And the experts said that they found no evidence there was ever copper in any of those tailings. And the perception was that the mine was a complete hoax to take money from people. Wow. Well, on the fringe of the mine, there's a mesquite forest that can get pretty thick. So on that early evening of August 3rd, Mrs. Nash calls Las Vegas police. They come out, they take a report, get a picture of them, which I can't find anywhere. And then they called the Clark County Sheriff to go out and search the area of the mine as they take the report. Well, the first deputies on the scene find Oliver's bike parked on the mine property. And right next to the bike were the remains of his lunch, right next to the bike. At that point, they looked around, they searched for another hour, and they called for a full search and rescue call out for August 4th. And when you see that, it said that the bike was right next to one of several mine shafts. Well, on August 4th, one of the mine shafts near the bike was searched. And it was explained that it had a slight incline to 200 feet. Then the mine dropped vertically, very deep. They brought in 150 CC workers to search. They found nothing. August 5th, 300 volunteers and the CCC workers just plowed through that whole area, searched all the mine shafts. And then they started to go into the mountains where the mesquite forest was at. Well, the previous night on August 4th, there was a huge thunderstorm that hit the area. Big one. Washed away the tracks, probably all the scent trail. They did find some prints leading away from the bike that they believed were Oliver's that were wiped out by a dirt road nearby. Key point. So it didn't appear that he went down the mine shaft. Now, the governor assigned Sergeant Jim Clark from the state police to run the search and rescue, and he got 2 planes to fly low over the area for 2 days. They were going to call it off after a 2-day search. The governor ordered another day, August 6th. And they described this as a second day of unbelievable heat. And if you've been searching or you've been out hiking and it's 100 degrees and 0% humidity, it's deadly and dangerous. And by the end of August 6th, nobody believed that Oliver could survive that many days in that heat. So search and rescue was terminated. And what are the choices that are left? Choices are that he wandered into the mountains in the mesquite and he got lost. No. Because the side of the mountain faces Las Vegas. As you go up, you're looking at Las Vegas. If you get lost, you come down, you go into Las Vegas. Hard for me to believe anybody gets lost there. If he fell into the mine shaft, which is always a possibility, but they didn't describe any prints they saw in there of his. If he fell into a mine shaft, it's a matter of time before the odor coming out of that shaft would be overwhelming. And why is that, Dave? Well, when a body decomposes, those odors coming from the body are a smell you will never forget. And that never happened. Third choice, he was abducted. They did say that his tracks went near a dirt road and they were washed out by other tire tracks. 14 years old, decent sized kid. His brothers played football. Probably, no doubt, he was big too. I searched years forward. Nothing was found. The boy wasn't found. One of those very strange cases where a young man disappears in the middle of nowhere. And I did pull up maps of that area. Here's the city of Las Vegas. This is the outer neighborhoods of eastern Las Vegas. And the Frenchman Mine sits near the base of the mountain right here. A lot of ways to get to it. It's not very complicated. If you just put in Frenchman's Mine, you can get to it. Seems to be a spot right now where a lot of young people like to go out and hike around. There's a lot of evidence of people there. In the back of your mind, keep Oliver in your head when you walk around. When I go to places where somebody's disappeared, I look for telltale signs of other locations that would be similar. As far as mines, I have a few cases where people have disappeared in mines under really odd circumstances, but it's not very normal. We talk about parents giving kids enough rope, 14 years old. I'm not sure if I would allow my 14-year-old to go in a mine. The lure to go into that mine, once you see it, even if you lectured him, talk to him, they may still go in the mine. Who knows? I think I'd say, hey, if you want to go, I'll go with you. Let's go take a look. Allow him to go alone? I don't know. So, 2 cases, boy 14, boy 15, neither boy's found. Similarities to both cases, because the similarities are they could be missing, they could be abducted. You don't know. One thing is, I guarantee Oliver Nash is not in water, because there's no water out there to be in. Sebastian Rogers could be in water, just because we know what we know of Tennessee, what we know of his neighborhood, and what we know that happened to another boy 11 days later. I admire Sebastian's parents not giving up. It's exactly what I'd be doing. I'd have to quit my job because I'd search until my son was found. I wouldn't care. Why? Because I couldn't live with myself if I gave up. And I think that's the soul-to-soul attachment that parents have for kids. I think the prayers need to be deep and long for Sebastian. A good young kid that unfortunately something unusual happened that night. Something really strange. We may never know what happened. Let's pray he's found alive. Light us out.